Hello and welcome to the TCF Morning Show. It is Tuesday, March 23rd, and this morning I am joined by Boomy at Boomy TCF and Matt Schoolfield at schools_01. I am Zach Lilia at Z Lilia TCF. The main page is at typical_Chicago on Twitter. This morning we will be talking about the first and second round of the March Madness, kind of looking ahead to the third round, which will be on Saturday and Sunday. So we'll be kind of talking about the games coming up, and then we'll just kind of go back to some of the games, our favorite moments. I think we all pretty much gambled on every single game. It's been a long weekend. It was weird for the Monday games, but we are here, so we will recap those. We survived the first weekend, boys, so we kind of made it out. I actually we'll get into that, but I actually ended up being all right after being so cold. It was insane, insane. But we'll get the bull. Speaking of cold, Bulls, Blackhawks, both really struggling. But we'll get into it. But it's just not been good since the All-Star breaks for the both of those teams. And then we will end the show like we always do with Boomy's Wacky Web Story. If you want to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, type in Typical Chicago Fans. You will find us on there. Go over the YouTube page, subscribe to the YouTube page, Typical Chicago Fans. All of our morning shows, podcasts, and interviews are on there. And then wherever you get your podcast from, please subscribe. Oh, if it's on Apple, please subscribe, rate, and review. Anywhere else, just type in Typical Chicago Fans. You will find us on there. Shout out to 26shirts.com Chicago. If you use the promo code Typical Chicago Fans at checkout, you will get 15% off of your purchase. Again, that is Typical Chicago Fans at checkout for 15% off of your purchase at 26shirts.com Chicago. Boys, let's get right into it. How are we feeling after the first weekend/Monday of the tournament?
Tired. A lot of basketball. 4 straight days as always, but it's a good tired. It's you turn on games at 11 and you're chasing till 11:30. It's the best weekend of the year without a doubt. So tired, but very good. I love what I'm seeing.
It's been chaos, man. This tournament's just every game has been. There's been stretches of time where it seems like anybody could win the game, no matter what seeds they are, no matter who's playing who, and it's. I don't know if it's the lack of any kind of a crowd aspect or anything like that, but the games have been nuts, and it just feels like you can't get a read on any of them ever. You know what I mean? It's just I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, it's unpredictable right now. We have a 15 seed still in it, right? Oral Roberts is 15.
Yep. Yeah.
So they beat Florida on Sunday, so they will be playing on Saturday. But you're right, Maddie. You said that correctly. It's been chaotic. It's been crazy. Yeah. It's been awesome to watch.
It's an all-state commercial.
After last year not having the tournament, this is awesome. It may not be great for brackets, whatever. I understand it.
I don't care about that.
Yeah, no one cares. If you were it's fun. I have this team.
I would love to win the TCF group, though. The bracket on the TCF or on the ESPN tournament challenge. Boomy will be keeping up with that and letting everybody know with that. Let's just say a lot of people in that group had Illinois.
Yeah, we have 50 entries, and I think probably 30 to 35 of them, I think, had Illinois. So I'll give a quick shout out.
I'm one of them. So
give a quick shout out. We have 3 people tied for first place right now. My brother Trey has an entry in there that is tied for first. Sinkers and Floaters have one in there, and the one account, there's two accounts that I don't know who they are, and of course one of them is in first place. So shout out to whoever ESPN 46110719-2 is. You're tied for first place. Yeah, right. I bet. Funny how Matt Schoolfield is in here already, but
it was Owen,
yeah. So
dude, he doesn't know how to create a username yet. What do you want?
You let him down as a father, Matt. Come on, we got to get on that. He's about old enough to be creating his ESPN account. We need to get on.
I'm not worrying about logins right now with him. I'm worried about making winners.
All right,
winners, dude.
Pick your battles, I guess.
But it's just been it's been crazy. But Boomy, do you want to kind of get into it?
Yeah. So what we'll do is we're going to look ahead to the round of 16, the Sweet 16, and any games that they've played in the round of 64 or the second round. We go ahead and jump on in, fellas. We got Michigan taking on Florida State. Michigan kind of cruises.
Both of those teams have kind of cruised to where they're at.
Yeah, I think you got the best two teams in that little quadrant there.
And I'm going to go out and say it. I think Florida State's going to win this game.
I love Florida State. I absolutely love Florida State. They're playing great defense right now. Colorado's a really good team, and they just suffocated them tonight. And it was exactly what you want to see out of that team. They played a lot of tough games. They play a lot of good talent. They're not going to be scared of anybody. They're well coached, and Scotty Barnes is really showing his talent. Man, that kid's going to be very, very good in the NBA.
Very excited for that game, and I think Michigan, like if Florida State can use that length as they did against Colorado, they're going to give Michigan some fits. That'll be a very good game, and then. Also in the East, we will have Alabama playing UCLA, which UCLA, I mean, they make a hell of a run there. They get past BYU. Then they have Abilene Christian, who they beat by 20 today. UCLA is playing the best I've seen UCLA play since they made it to the national championship in 2007 with Aaron Aflalo and Luke Rashad Mbuamute.
They shouldn't have even won that game against Michigan State. They had to go on a 5-0 run to send it to overtime.
Yeah. And
then won in overtime. And now they are moving on to the Sweet 16. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That Jaquez kid is outstanding, dude. Yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah. The one that had like 16 in the first half against BYU.
That Juzang or Juzang.
Yeah, Juzang.
He transferred from
Kentucky. Yeah,
he was a really highly touted player too.
I had BYU first half and full game, and me and Zach were sitting there watching it, and this Juzang kid, you said, big name, but at the end of the day, not the big name. Yeah, and he was at one point like 7 for 9 from the field, and I don't think he shot any layups. It was all jump shots. You were playing well, but I think they're going to have their hands full with a good Alabama team that is just blowing the doors off of Maryland right now.
If they're going to hit their threes, look out, because Nate Oates' team can shoot and they're not afraid to throw up 40 of them. So
yeah, and they're a team that's not down for the count either. You might get them down a little bit, and like you said, though, that long range game they have. I mean, I think there was an article about his practices how they don't even count points within 10 feet during certain drills. So they have a 4-point line instead of just a 3. So they love to fill it up. Let's move to the West. We have Gonzaga, as expected, just beating the hell out of people. Given Oklahoma, it's 16-point game today. Wasn't very close. They will get Creighton, who got past Ohio, who knocked off Virginia. Kind of an upset a lot of people saw coming, but Creighton, after all the craziness that's gone on there with the coach and the comments he made, now they find themselves in the Sweet 16. I don't think they have much of a chance against Gonzaga, but if Gonzaga starts slow the way that they did against Norfolk State, you might be in for a bit of a game. They do have some players. What do you guys think about that matchup?
Well, first, Ohio, they just could not get themselves back in the game. They like a little bit through the first half.
They went cold for 6-7 minutes there in the first half. Yeah,
and then they just could not get it back. They were just fighting. I mean, they're a good team.
I was all over them. I was all over Ohio.
Me too.
Me
too. But they just couldn't stay in that game.
Zagorowski for Creighton, that point guard, man. He's playing really, really well right now. Playing with a lot of confidence. He's kind of one of those guys that's hitting a lot of threes, getting in the lane, get got fouled.
You got to love that out of a point guard.
He's not afraid. He's definitely not afraid.
And in the same breath, I kind of think the same about the Campbell kid from UCLA. Like, I think when we watched him play BYU, I think he had 5 points, but it felt like every play he was integral in getting the ball to the paint, getting it to the guys that could score. A good point guard that can attack, the middle of any defense is worth its weight in gold. Moving on in that region, we will have Battle of the Pac-12. We got Oregon and what will most likely be USC. We're recording this as USC is up 20 at half over Kansas. Oregon gets here, obviously a first-round bye, essentially, when VCU gets COVID. But they come out and they gave Iowa the business in the round of 32. Who do you guys like coming out of that Oregon-USC matchup?
Well, what they did was they let Luka Garza do what he wanted. Yeah. He had 30-something points.
Yeah,
but they stopped everything else.
Yep.
So I mean, I think he had
very one-dimensional
20-something points in the first half and 0 assists because they were letting him go to work, but they weren't letting the shooters.
Yeah, Bohanna was nowhere to be found.
Very well.
Bohanna was nowhere to be found. Wieskamp wasn't. I didn't feel like he played real well either. It's a tough game for Iowa. It's a game, got the National Player of the Year most likely. You expect to win that game.
Yeah. Without a doubt. I mean,
I don't hate seeing Fran McCaffrey lose.
You're not going to find many people outside of the state of Iowa that are too upset.
I don't like that guy. I don't know what it is. He's just such
a ass. He is what he is. Nice Pac-12, and I think we talked about this, last week. The Pac-12 doesn't get the love that they sometimes deserve. Yeah, sometimes they have down years, but no one watches games that start at 10-15 other than us degenerates. They get USC and Oregon into the Sweet 16. Pretty good show, and we'll get to them later, but Oregon State, a team that a month ago was never going to be in the NCAA Tournament, now they're in the Sweet 16. Pac-12 deserves a little bit of love there.
Well, we're speaking of conferences, the Big Ten.
Dogs.
Bad.
Absolutely showed, yeah. I don't know what you think of it. I mean, they played so many good teams, but obviously I think you're looking at, what do we got? One left. Michigan's the only one left.
Yeah.
Take with that what you need. But I think they led the tournament in teams in, if not tied with somebody else. But you're left with one in the.
I don't have Michigan last and past the Sweet 16 either. I'm just going to say that.
I'm with you. Let's move to the South. We have Baylor will host Villanova. Baylor gets past Wisconsin fairly easily. And then Villanova gets North Texas, who beat Purdue. Villanova, a team I had them losing in the first round, but they get through. And now they're headed to the Sweet 16. Jay Wright, I mean, one of the best coaches around. Can't say enough about him. But, I don't think anybody expected to see Villanova here in the Sweet 16 and without Connor Gillespie. And look at them now. They got a chance to knock off one of the top teams in the country to get to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, they got there pretty swiftly, too.
Yeah. I think it definitely benefited them that they played. And North Texas is not a good basketball team. They just played very, very well against Purdue. I would have liked to have seen that Purdue-Villanova matchup, but obviously it is what it is. And then Villanova beats them by 23. I think North Texas, just had that in them, that enough gas and enough fire to get past Purdue, and then Villanova just gave them the biz. But I think Baylor's going to roll past Villanova, but I've been pretty bad at picking against Villanova. So
well, Baylor's been playing very well.
They're good. They're so good. They're so good. Obviously not, the undefeated record like Gonzaga, but they've been there all year, 1 and 2. In the same bracket in the South, Arkansas will take on Oral Roberts, the 15 seed that gets past Florida. I think Arkansas is going to win this game, but I didn't think
you never know. You don't know what this. I feel like this is setting up for something maybe crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what did Florida Gulf Coast went to the Final Four, right? And then they lost to Florida, or no? They went to the Final Four, or did they get bounced in the Elite Eight?
I thought they lost in the Elite Eight.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they lost the Elite Eight. But.
Either way, 15 seed being there that obviously no one expected them. I mean, Ohio State has been so inconsistent, and then Florida, kind of in pieces of what it was at the beginning of the year. It's a great run, taking down two really good programs. And I like Arkansas. I think Musselman's a great coach, but I'm not counting Oral Roberts out of that game at all. I mean, Max Amos is an absolute stud and can fill it up. So we'll have to wait and see. I like Arkansas.
It would be awesome.
I had Arkansas. I know no one cares in my bracket, but I did have them in our pool to go to the Final Four. So I'm going to hope that comes to fruition because I'll feel like I'm some kind of a brain there.
Well, and looking ahead to the Elite Eight, you're going to see if things play out, they could get Baylor, who they've played already this year. In the Big 12 matchup in the Elite Eight. It's hard to beat a team multiple times a year, so that would be a fun one to watch. Moving to the Midwest, obviously everybody's big pick. Illinois goes down to Loyola Chicago, and it kind of dominated the whole game front to back.
I'm just going to say it. Loyola is not, what are they, the 8th seed?
Yeah, they were 9th in Ken Palm, and they get an 8th seed.
But they played well. The game plan was perfect. And they deserve to move on. I mean, it's exciting to watch, but they're better than what the tournament says they are.
I agree. Not enough love.
And they proved it.
And you get a bad draw having to play a team powered by a 102-year-old nun on a Sunday. That seems a little unfair. On the Lord's Day. That game's on a Monday.
You guys see the prayer she had before?
Oh, she had her scouting report down. She was ready to go. They're going to keep riding that. And then Loyola gets a nice little draw as Oregon State knocks out the best player in the country in Cade Cunningham and the Oklahoma State Cowboys 80-70. I don't think any of us gun to our head would have imagined that we'd see Oregon State in a Sweet 16. A month ago, they were in like 9th place in the Pac-12, which is a good conference, but you don't expect them to be in the final 16 team standing. But man, are they putting it together at the right time? I think Loyola's a better team, but they're hot right now.
Especially with this, boys. I was thinking about this with like Illinois and all these Big Ten teams. They're kind of they were all stuck there.
Yeah.
And you think it just gets a little old after a while?
Yeah, you've been there for 2 weeks plus.
Especially like Illinois, they didn't even get to go celebrate.
Right. Yeah, you win your first conference tournament since 2005, and it's like, oh, cool. Everybody else gets to celebrate back in
shame. You go sit in your hotel room, watch Netflix or something, and it's just like, eh.
Yeah, easy to get your mind distracted and not think about basketball for 2 weeks straight. We got Syracuse moving on to the Sweet 16. They take down West Virginia, Bob Huggins and the Mountaineers. And they will play the 2 seed, the Houston Cougars, who barely get by Rutgers. Do you guys think that Boeheim's got any more in him? I mean, I think it's a miracle that they're where they're at. But Buddy Boeheim looks like the National Player of the Year these last 2 games. 2. Yeah.
At this point,
I have the same thoughts about Boeheim as I do Fran McCaffrey. I'm just going to say that too.
Yeah.
But they're one of those teams, man. I give him some credit. He's a great coach, and
they're
built like every year they're dangerous in the tournament. They really are, and they play tough defense always. And whether it's the zone, and the zone hasn't been kind of what it used to be the last few years. And it's shown some flaws because there's so many good shooters in this, in the game anymore, except that play at North Carolina. None of them ever go there. But, Syracuse themselves have really dominated the ACC since they've been in it. But come March, they flip the switch and, they make, they made the Final Four as a 10 seed a couple of years ago.
I was reading something the other day. I think Jim Boeheim has been at Syracuse since 1976.
Yeah, that sounds right. I think that's right.
He had a losing season 2 times.
Yeah, it's a great coach, man.
He's been there since the bicentennial of the United States, and he's had 2 losing seasons.
And now it's the year 2021, and he's coaching his son.
Yeah.
He still looks the same, basically, too.
Yeah.
His sons. I didn't know that. I didn't know he had two sons on the team.
Yeah.
I did not know that either. Obviously, we saw some upsets, like you said, Ohio taking out Virginia. Were there any other ones that really? I think a lot of people had said maybe Georgetown can keep it rolling. They did not. They got smacked by Colorado. Were there any other upsets that really jumped out to you guys? Obviously, Texas falls to Abilene Christian in the first round. 52 points. You're not going to win college basketball games in the NCAA tournament scoring 52 points. I don't know what you expected there.
Not many.
What was it? UCSB?
Yep, UCSB loses by 1 to Creighton.
That ball
Don't
was
get me going.
in the basket.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started. I don't want to talk about that game. I still have bad feelings about that layup.
But boys, there's been a lot of awesome games. There's been so many games that come down to the last few minutes, and it's been awesome. There has been
North
really
Texas
a lot of
Purdue
blowouts.
going overtime. I mean, that was an incredible game. Absolutely, and North Texas shut them down in overtime. But I mean, that was fantastic. I mean, just great games. I mean, the Virginia Tech game, the first game of the tournament, goes to overtime on a buzzer beater 3, and Florida ends up finishing it. I mean, you can't ask for a better start to the tournament than that.
What do you guys think? 5 or 6 probably blowouts so far?
Yeah, I'd say maybe a half a dozen.
It hasn't been really too many of those.
No, and even
close games.
Got to, like 12 to 15, it felt like it was under 10 until 4 minutes left.
Feels like this tournament, a 10-point lead with 5-6 minutes left. Anything can happen.
Yeah, but Gonzaga was up like almost 20, I think, at one point in the first half too. So today that was against Oklahoma. Outside of them, I don't think anybody has had any of those really dominating performances like even Baylor in the first round.
Yeah,
Wisconsin,
Illinois.
Carolina.
Actually,
Matt, did you care to talk about the Tar Heels?
Yeah, I'll talk about that fucking program. Walker Kessler just decides to transfer today, so that's great news. A guy that you're counting on for next year.
Wait, was that the big white kid?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, freshman.
I did not see that.
Yeah. Apparently there's rumblings. Caleb Love's dad was tweeting some shit. Armando Bacot's dad was tweeting some shit. So who knows if those guys are coming back. There's rumblings that they're going to transfer. There's rumblings, Garrison Brooks might, I don't know if we want him to come back. He has a 5th year because of COVID eligibility. Yeah. Don't know if I necessarily want him to come back if it means like Bacot and Sharp won't come back, because if they don't have Bacot and Sharp, then they're really screwed, dude. Because it's I'm starting to wonder if the old clock is rounding towards midnight for old Roy here, because it's the recruiting hasn't been up to snuff, and it had a really good class.
Ever first round loss.
Great recruiting class, ranking wise, coming in this year, but they did not have anybody ready to just kind of step in and make a huge impact outside of Dayron Sharp at certain times as a freshman. But Kerwin Walton really he's a shooter, but he's not a shot creator. So your freshman didn't.
It's a tough matchup too against Wisconsin.
Well, it's a tough matchup when Brad Davidson has like the game of his life.
Yeah,
come on, like let's not act like this guy is like been some superstar for Wisconsin. But give him credit, man. They didn't miss. They missed against Baylor. They missed against Carolina.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so we got the first and second round recap there, with a little bit of a preview towards the Sweet 16, which will be Saturday and Sunday. And then the Elite 8 is Monday, Tuesday. So the whole March Madness this year is different, but it's awesome. Like I said, whatever. We'll have a little bit of, I think with the Elite 8, Monday, Tuesday, the games won't start until what? 5, 6 anyways.
Yeah, they haven't released the times for those, but I'm pretty excited. I'm off of work the weekend after and the weekend of the Final Four and the national championship game, so pretty pumped about that.
Well, I mean, either way, you would have been able to watch those.
Well, yeah, but less stuff to do during the day.
Okay.
Mentally
Well,
prepare myself.
yeah. So Bulls, Blackhawks. We're not gonna get too much into it, but they have been playing well since the All-Star break. Blackhawks been real bad.
Real.
The Bulls
Played a lot
finally
of good teams.
they got a win against the Pistons, who not very good. And then they are playing tonight against the Jazz and are down 20 as we record this.
Well, the frustrating thing in the last 2 weeks with the Bulls is that like they've been playing against good teams. So
Satoransky back in the starting lineup.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. San Antonio's a good basketball team. They're not great by any stretch. They're very, they are who they are. They were up big in that one, blow it in the second half. Then 2 days later, you go to Denver. You haven't won in Denver since 2007. Andres Nocioni was the leading scorer. You haven't won in Denver since then. You were up the entire time. Push it away in the last 5 minutes, and you lose in overtime. That's
the
not
worst part about this little run that they're going on is that they've been blowing big leads late.
Yes.
And it's like the end of the third quarter into the fourth, and it's like, okay, we got this, and then boom, it's all gone.
And I get that's definitely the makeup of a young team. Like younger teams don't know how to win in this case, and that's exactly what's happening to the Bulls. But I thought we had kind of made a turn on this, and I thought that they closed out some of those ones around the All-Star break, and it's like you want to, like we keep talking about, you want to keep taking those steps, and it's like we took 2 steps forward and then another one back, and then a step forward and 2 steps back. Like it's that part's frustrating, and I don't want to seem like a downer because I didn't expect this team to go to the playoffs from the beginning. But when you see them make the progression, you don't like to see them then make regression because then you're back to where you started at. And that's kind of where I feel like we've been in the last month and a half or so, and it's frustrating to watch.
That kind of sums up both teams, too.
Yeah. And Matt said it well. Like, the Blackhawks schedule is just silly right now. I think they play like 3 teams the rest of
the Bulls schedule is kind of crazy too. A lot of back-to-backs, and the schedule definitely is going to get harder for the Bulls. So you can kind of see that happening too.
Yeah, it's you got to be able to finish games like the ones that they've been in, and like if they could have stolen away a win from a very good Denver team, like that's the kind of stuff you build off of, and you've made those progressions, and you notch one of those wins under your belt, and maybe you keep it closer tonight against Utah. They're getting beat pretty bad right now. Utah's, I think, first in the West. Those are the kinds of things you want to see out of a young team that's trying to make those progressions. But right now, at this point in time, March 23rd, there's been more regression in the last 2-3 weeks than there has been progression.
Maddie, what are your thoughts?
Boomy's basically hit it on the head. I mean, it's just you want to see more than what we've gotten. That's just the sum of it. That's the way it is. There's been showed flashes. We started kind of, talking. Is Zach LaVine going to be is he a true piece to a championship type team? Is he one of the quote 3 that you need? Well, if he is, want to see him kind of finish some of these games off. You can't always be on the wrong side of every comeback, every bad loss, so it's got to finish them off when you can. But
he frustrated me in those ones they blew because late in the game, and I'm not saying anything bad about Zach LaVine.
No,
because he's
outstanding.
The best player on the Bulls
under the hole this year.
But like there'd be moments in a fourth quarter where Kobe's trying to set up a pick and roll, and Zach literally just stands on the wing, 3 feet from the 3-point line and doesn't move. It's like you're not going to get yourself open standing there, with your thumb in your ass. Like move, do something. Like. It's just if he's a true one, those are the kind of things like you go get the ball, you make yourself available instead of watching your teammates pass around and Thomas Satoransky taking a baseline runner while Zach LaVine's 40 feet away standing, with his hands on his hips.
Yeah.
Hey, and I did see that there's rumors that the Bulls were offered a first-round pick for Thaddeus Young, and they turned it down. Would you guys have?
If that's true, then come on.
Yeah, I hope that's not true. It's something I had seen online today. I hope it's not true because if you can get a first rounder out of and Thad Young's played very well lately. Don't get me wrong, but you take a first rounder for Thad Young.
Mm-hmm. All right, Boomy, you got your wacky web story.
I sure do. And this is a quick one because it's a follow-up to a story I brought in about a month and a half ago. I talked about a guy who, with the times going, he went to a garage sale, a yard sale out in August or September, I believe, and he bought a kind of decorative bowl in Connecticut. He bought it for $35, thought it looked pretty cool. It was from China. Turns out exceptionally rare 15th century porcelain bowl made in China. And it was going up for auction when I brought the story to us. And well, guys, it's sold just last week for $722,000.
Let's move on. I don't want to talk about that because that will never happen to any of it. Like, that's just crazy.
That is.
If I sold that at my garage sale, I would jump off a
Oh,
cliff right now.
Well, I'd find the guy and hunt him down.
I would be the person that sold it at the garage sale.
I would literally sprint to the nearest cliff I could find and just fucking leave. Just sail off to the sunset that way.
Because you had to think, like, that's one bowl. You're like, $35, not bad. Yeah. And then it's like, come to find out, it's worth $750,000.
I made $74 at this garage sale. Half of it came from this bowl.
Yeah.
That would be wild.
Yeah.
Post show, boys. We got opening
10 days.
Day 10 days. We got the Cubbies. I'm excited for the Cubs, the White Sox. Opening day, just opening day in general for baseball. Just getting back to Wrigley, hopefully. Just when baseball starts up, spring is here. So 10 days. That's kind of wild.
Yeah, it is.
I know
we don't want to
that close until Boomy said.
I know we don't want to probably go too deep into it, but Zach Davies, who we acquired in the Yu Darvish trade, has had a really solid spring. He's only given up one run. It was an unearned run. So something to keep your eyes open on.
Like to hear stuff like that, Boomy.
Obviously, he's no Yu Darvish. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying he had a good spring. That's all I'm saying.
That's good. That's good. Well, thank you to Boomy at Boomy TCF and Matt Schoolfield at schools_01 for joining me this morning. If you want to follow us on Twitter, it's at typical_Chicago. I am Zach Lilia at ZLilia TCF. On the main page is, oh wait, I already said that. Main page on Facebook and Instagram, just follow us there. Typical Chicago fans. YouTube, all the morning shows, podcasts, interviews are on there. Typical Chicago fans. Please subscribe to the YouTube page wherever you get your podcast from. Type in Typical Chicago Fans. You will find us on there. Shout out to 26shirts.com Chicago. Use the promo code Typical Chicago Fans at checkout for 15% off of your purchase. Again, that is Typical Chicago Fans at checkout for 15% off of your purchase. What do you want, Boomy?
Hey, if anyone knows who ESPN 46110719 is, send them our way because I need to find out they're in the lead, like I said, for the tournament bracket challenge. So if anybody knows who that is, if you're in our pool, in our bracket challenge, if that's you, get a hold of us on Twitter because I want to find out who that is. It's like there's literally 50 entries. There's 2 people I don't know. And I was like, oh, this won't be an issue. They probably won't win anyway. Sure enough, they're tied for first. I just want to know who it is so we can go ahead from there.
Yeah, maybe Boomy will put up a little blog between here and
no one claims it, you're out.
We'll figure it out. But like I said, shout out 26shirts.com Chicago. Anything else, boys?
Let's just enjoy a couple days off, and then we'll get back on the basketball train this week.
We have until Saturday, so you got a little bit of break there. This has been the TCF Morning Show, Tuesday, March 23rd. We love you all.
Peace.